It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate, oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And this week, as you can tell from my lack of a voice, we are covering C2E2 2022 and everything that went on there. Discovery is killing all of the DC movie projects, it seems like, so buckle up for the next few weeks.
Yeah, I feel that's the understatement of the century. What a wild news week.
Yeah, it's going to get wilder when we get into some more details here. Daredevil is getting his yellow suit officially. We'll talk about that and more.
Yeah, I'm doing Chris a service here, and we are going to keep this podcast quick, tight, entertaining as always, because he is half dead. Because as we all know, every year he goes to C2E2, which is the Chicago's Comic-Con.
Yes.
I think you described it perfectly a couple weeks ago, where it's like the largest, biggest incarnation of a local Comic-Con that exists in a way, and kind of the level after that is kind of when you get into more of I would say a circus type of deal.
Anything bigger than this, and you're gonna have multiple facilities and outdoor activations, right? We're the peak of everything is in one building, panels are in one building, and that's what you need to do, and that makes it really a nice compact event where you don't have to worry about going millions of places or waiting in a lot of lines. So
we had some fans of the show there a while. I saw Superfan Jim was there with his daughter.
Yes, Jim and Hannah were my roommates. So
they took some great cosplay pictures too. I felt like I was there. A great kite man. It's a good cosplay to capture there.
You want to, we'll talk about it. We'll talk. I'm going to put a note in here for cosplay because I don't have this, but I'm going to put a cosplay note in here because I want to ask you a couple of questions and see how close you are to some of these things. So,
gotcha.
Yep.
Well, anyway, we went ahead and we put an entire segment at the top of the show here for Chris to chat about C2E2. But I've been recommending a certain show to every single person I've come across this week. Everyone that has been within a distance of my mouth, I have told them to go on Apple Plus because I know you got it because you either bought an iPhone or an iPad or a MacBook at some point in time in the last 6 months, and you got a free subscription of it and you don't even know it. So over on Apple Plus, there's an amazing 6-episode limited series that just wrapped up on Friday called Blackbird. Stars Taron Egerton, which we are familiar with on this show for being the man in Kingsman. Yep. I don't even remember what his name was in that movie. Eggy, that's right.
It's Eggy.
He was the titular Kingsman, if you will, not to be confused with the Kingsman movie, which I still haven't seen yet.
He's the king, and he was also Elton in the Elton John biography as well. So
yeah, that's right. So Taron Egerton, we're fans of here at the show, but surprisingly, the reason I will recommend this show is an actor by the name of Paul Walter Hauser. Now, there's a chance that you've seen him before in something, but maybe you've just never internalized the name yet. He is, if you're familiar with Cobra Kai, the show, he plays a character by the name of Stingray, which is one of the older adults in the show, which joins the kind of the children's karate classes. So he's a very comedic relief character, and he braids his goatee to be a stingray. He's very hilarious in it. Or if you've also seen the live-action adaptation of Cruella, he plays one of Cruella's henchmen, Horace, kind of like the bigger, stouter guy. So there's a chance you cross paths with him. He's been in some other things as well. But this show is based on true events, and it's about Taron Egerton plays kind of a low-level 90s drug dealer that ends up going to jail, and in order to commune his sentence, he makes a deal with the FBI to get locked up in a higher security prison to elicit a confession from Paul Walter Hauser, who's playing a real-life serial killer. And man, the performances in this show are fabulous. The only downside about this show is we binged 5 episodes and then had to wait an entire week to watch the last episode. This is such a bingeable, just like, leg gripping, just drama. It's insane. It's so good. Like, this is gonna be like plastered all over the Emmys next year. You got to go watch it. It's great. It's amazing. But Paul Walter Hauser's performance is amazing. Like, he has cemented himself as like somebody that I'm always gonna watch movies or TV shows that he's in. So I don't know if have you heard of this, Chris, before?
Yeah, I've seen the production. There was something with the production that caused some issues, pretty early on.
I think I was reading an interview with Paul Hauser, and he was saying they had issues with a hurricane and COVID delays, and Taron Egerton and the Paul Walter Hauser, the stars, they had to actually turn down some roles that they were committed to in order to finish the show. But the way he phrased it, I think they had the choice to do it, so props to them if that's the case for sticking around and finishing.
Yeah, and I would say I know Paul Walter Hauser because of he was the controversial movie Richard Jewell. You know that one?
Yeah, that popped up a couple times when I was researching him after this.
So that was a Clint Eastwood movie about the it was like some guy alerted the authorities that there's a bomb at the Olympics, and they evacuate it. It's fine, and then he gets blamed for putting the bomb there because he alerted people. But he plays the main character, Richard Jewell, and he doesn't look like you wouldn't look at him like, oh, he's a great actor kind of dude just looking at him, but I think he's been in a couple like Always Sunny, maybe a Community, other comedy shows.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's usually I've seen him mainly in comic relief, so it was great to kind of see him in this serious role, and like a lot of kind of like true life stories. They do the thing at the end where they kind of show the pictures of the real life people, and like just great job getting glowing reviews. So if you got Apple Plus, cruise on over after you finish Severance, of course, which I've been telling everybody to watch every week since I finished it months ago. Watch Severance, then roll on over, watch Blackbird. It's great. And I'll leave it there, Chris, and let you dive in.
Well, I'm gonna do the two things that we always talk about. We've got to let everyone know new stuff coming out. Sandman is now on Netflix as of Friday. I've not got to watch this, obviously, been on the show floor. And Prey is on Hulu. I heard people talking about it on the show floor. So I know these are both getting watched by fans. I've not looked into reviews or anything else. But if you're looking for content, you have the series, all of Sandman on Netflix, Season 1, and the movie Prey by Dan Trachtenberg, who did 10 Cloverfield Lane on Hulu. So check those out. All right, let's jump into the goodies. This is where the goodies happen. And as you can tell by my raspy voice, I have had a wonderful 3 days. I guess three convention days, 4 days total. We leave on Thursdays at C2E2, Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo. Now, what is fascinating about C2E2 this year, Mike, is that it's in August. It's never been in August. It's always been in officially pre-COVID between February, March, and April. So I've never had a warm season in Chicago, and let me tell you, we walked everywhere. My friend Jeremy I think he got like 17 miles worth of steps on Friday alone in his shoes. So we walked everywhere. We had a really good time. Again, shout out to Superfan Jim, his daughter Hannah, who were my roommates at the hotel. We split the room. They were great. And then also listener Jason Ambrositis, he was there. It's his first C2E2. He loved it so much he's going to come back next year. If anyone else was on the floor and I didn't get to see you, I'm sorry. I found out one of my favorite bands has a concert in town, so Saturday I left a little early to go watch them down the road. So obviously my voice is out from singing along to Coheed and Cambria and Alkaline Trio songs along the way. Now, I was going to ask you, Mike, cosplayers. What do you think the number one cosplay this year was? If you could just take a guess. Oh,
that's the thing. It's always what it is there's got to be a level of ease into it, right? You can't just say like Batman, because Batman takes a lot of armor, a lot of time, a lot of pieces. Usually it's something that's clothing based. I'm just gonna go ahead and take a shot in the dark and say probably something from Marvel streaming, maybe like Miss Marvel would be my guess.
Well, no. I didn't say Miss Single Miss Marvel. Number one Hellfire Club T-shirts. People
Stranger Things,
dressed
of course,
up as
yep.
Eddie Munson, mostly. Gender swapped Eddie Munson. Girls with long black, the longer hair done up to look like Eddie's. So huge shout out to that. Second, I would say I saw a lot of Scarlet Witches this year. The full evil Scarlet Witch outfits. A lot of people went into that. Third, obviously Star Wars, but I would specifically say Mandalorian armor of varying crossovers. So there was an entire Toy Story Mandalorian crowd. So like Buzz Lightyear done in Mandalorian armor, Woody in Mandalorian armor.
Oh, that's great.
Jason got a picture of it, shared it with me because we were eating when I saw them, so I didn't get anything with them. So I'm gonna, I'll put that up online later. But I think that was fantastic. A lot of Star Wars this year, I think it was huge. But there were Star Wars panels. We had Rosario Dawson was today, so we didn't get to see her. But there's the Inquisitors, the Grand Inquisitor and the Third Sister were there doing photo signs. Had a panel, so a lot of Star Wars with that. I also got to talk and visit the Bandai, booths, including. I believe they do the One Piece stuff. I'm not as familiar with One Piece, but I'm a Dragon Ball guy, Mike. They told me meet them by the Gohan statue, and I'm like, I know exactly what that is. They also do some Marvel and Star Wars stuff. They have a Millennium Falcon leaving Mos Espa, that pit that the ships park in, right? That was pretty good in size. They do Gundams. I know you're a Gundam fan, Mike. They do all the Gundam model kits there. Something I saw that was really cool. Do you remember Tamagotchis and Digimons?
Yes, very much so.
So like you carried them around with you, right? And it like as you carried them, they were healthy. They trained, and you could fight with your Digimon, right? So they've integrated that into essentially a smart wearable now. So because that was essentially early fitness tracking, right? Was your Digimon partner, and now they have a Digimon band you put on your wrist, and like you can put in it comes with like an Agumon, or you can buy like other Digimon like cards to put in it on this little screen, and literally as you walk and track your thing, you get to like train your Digimon up even more. So it's gamified the walking, the fitness thing, but also they've already been doing this. It's just a more efficient form than carrying around a little egg-shaped pill.
Yeah, I don't know if Digimon's making some sort of like resurgence. I was talking with a friend this weekend that said there's a popular Digimon title that is coming out or has already recently come out for the Switch. That's supposed to be something like different, new, and exciting. It
was delayed quite a bit, and it was one of those things like the hype from being delayed, and apparently it's really good. I know exactly what he's talking about, but I couldn't pick the name up right away. But yeah, I mean, Digimon's making a resurgence. There's also an anime, like a remake of the original series as well, out and about. So it's fantastic. Bandai was a booth I'd recommend stopping by, taking a look at it. They do Shinron like statues. You can get the big dragon, right, with the Dragon Balls. It's really fun. So shout out to Bandai. I'm going to be talking with them a little bit more. Shout out to listener of the show Kumbayahu on Twitter for recommending a physics escape room based out of the I think one of the university's physics teams made an escape room, and you have to use science to get out. So we booked for 4 because that's all we had. The other 4 people, the random people who showed up, were literally 4 people in Squirtle outfits. They were the Squirtle squad from Pokemon.
That's great. That's
amazing.
And
you never know what kind of group you're going to get. And they actually ended up being really cool. We solved it with less than a minute to go, so that's a big success for us.
Question about the Squirtle squad. Obviously, I'm assuming they all had sunglasses, right?
They did. They did not have the leader one. He was somewhere else.
That's what I was about to ask. Like, who was the leader of the squad? I guess maybe they decided, like, we're all friends. We don't want to pick favorites. We're all just going to be the Squirtle Squad goons. We'll let the leader be somebody else.
They have a leader. He just wasn't in the escape room. He was somewhere else.
Too cool for the escape room. Classic leader, alpha ability.
Yeah, he had to go do some other stuff. Now, we did see someone dress up as Ash Ketchum run up to him and get photos with him. And then he was like, doing like a stuff. He's like, all right, on the count of 3, you know what to say. And they're like, Squirtle. And you're like, everyone's in on this. It's really fun to see that synergy at a Comic-Con for that. Again, I mentioned the Star Wars celebrities. Hugh's there. I know Superfan Jim and Jason got to go to a Michael Rooker panel. Apparently, he's just as sarcastic in real life as he is in the shows and movies he's in. and they called James Gunn on his cell phone in the panel on speakerphone. He went to voicemail, but they all sang him happy birthday on his voicemail while they were in there. So things you can only do at conventions, right? Like you wouldn't run into Michael Rooker on the street and get to do that. So I will say for this year, there were no comic publishers at all on the floor. No Marvel, no DC, no Image, no Dark Horse, no Boom, no anything there. Wow. Which is a stark contrast from when we're normally there. So for that, a lot of comic people either canceled or did not come. So for people who read comics, it's signatures, you want to meet them, it's really disappointing. Tragic this year. I talked to someone who'd been to San Diego and said that literally all the publishers spent all their money going to San Diego and couldn't make this in 2 weeks. Because they'd have to send everybody out and do all the money again, recoup.
Yeah, I guess that's the unintended consequences of having like a warm con, right? Because when it's earlier in the year, you can spread out your budget at least across a different quarter of the year.
Yeah, and you would get to see the profits from it and all that other fun stuff, from there. So with that note, C2E2 is moving back to March 31st, April 1st, and 2nd of next year. So we are going back to our standard, regularly scheduled program. I'm very excited. If anyone wants to go, please tell us. I would love to get everybody out there. It's such a great time, just hanging out and experiencing it. I did pick up one very rare Adult Swim collectible, which is the Master Shake with a Moth Monster Man from Aqua Teen.
Great.
Moth Monster Man is voiced by H. John Benjamin. So that's a deep cut for you Archer and Bob's Burgers fans there. For back in like 2002, 3, whenever that came out. So that was pretty cool. And then I was trying to think of what else I got. But we'll come back to that later, if it comes up. But like really, Chicago Comic-Con is great, like I said, because it's all in one facility. It's all walking distance from great things to do downtown. They have really developed this area a lot in the past 12 years I've been going. It used to just be kind of empty, vacant parking lots, and now there's like restaurants and bars and like things we like what housing units, like condos. So like it's a much nicer area than it used to be over the time, and I'm really excited for that. So I can't recommend it enough, Mike. I'll probably talk about it more next week when I get my voice back a little bit. But did you have any questions before we jumped into the actual news for it?
You know what? I'm just glad you had a great time, some fun adventures had by all, and I'm just glad that the Midwest and Chicago has something like this for people out there. I saw that Jim and his daughter took a train because they're in Iowa, I believe, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, so that's so cool that you can hop on a train, head over there, and have a great Comic-Con. So great. Loved it. What great news in juxtaposition to the next bit of news.
To the most confusing thing that has happened in a very long time. Warner Brothers officially has canceled Batgirl the movie after this has been completed filming and was slated for a streaming release this fall, theatrical release in other countries that they don't have HBO Max. They've spent $70 million on this film, Mike, and I just don't know what to make of this.
Yeah, this is wild. It was a whirlwind of a week, right? Because really popular and accurate entertainment news outlets like The Hollywood Reporter and Deadline were breaking the news before this was hitting officially on Thursday, which is when Warner, Discovery, whatever they're technically called now, had their earnings call on Thursday. So it was all but confirmed that all of these slashings and hackings and cutting from two companies merging was leaking earlier in the week. And Batgirl was the biggest news out of all that. I don't know actually if we've gotten another official cancellation out there yet, but there's statements that everything HBO Max related could possibly be on the chopping block. But that also doesn't clear things up very well either, because to the lay person out there, honestly, what's the difference between HBO Max and HBO anymore, right? It's all basically comes down to like balance sheets and columns and accountants, if you will. And that's exactly the reason that they said that they've canceling Batgirl. They are saying that they're going to write it off as a loss because when Discovery merged with Warner Brothers, they inherited a ton of debt. So they have to start slashing, so their stock will start trading at the amount that they want it to. So cuts are coming down the line. But usually when this happens, right, you know, we hear cuts when it comes to jobs, which is really unfortunate because it's at a very human level, right? We don't often hear cuts when it comes to things that are practically done. You know, you can see TV shows getting canceled. That happens all the time in the TV world anyway. But for a movie to be canned just before it comes out, it seems reckless to me. It's wild.
So the reports I saw were like they have to save, what was it, like they have to find $300 million somewhere to save in the budget. And you might be asking, they filmed this. There's no way they can save money. There are several ways they can save money. One is after post effects, right? Post production. Second is marketing. So they said they're estimating to save 15 to 20 million on not releasing Batgirl alone. Also payouts. On streaming, you're getting subscriptions. You still have to pay out residuals somehow, right? For some actors or producers. Also, you know, there was the big article, the big one, the first article we saw, the big dramatic article, Batgirl's canceled because audiences hate this movie. It's the worst movie we've ever seen. Mike, is this true? No, it's not. No, it's
categorically
not.
wrong. We've seen some rumors out there online because this show, like as everyone has said, this movie has had test screenings. That means people have technically seen this movie and the internet exists. So opinions have already come out there. So the word from these test audiences, before we even talk about official scores, which kind of categorizes their thoughts and numbers, right, is that this movie was fine. Like nothing to the realm of so bad that it couldn't be released. And I'm glad that you have this bullet point in here as well, because I saw this out there that this is scoring along the lines of a lot of other movies you've already seen that you liked.
Well, this movie's not coming out. Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods, this movie got the same cinema score, or not cinema, test score as Shazam 2, which, you know, everyone is just as hyped for, right? And going to theatrical release, which will cost a lot more money. It'll also probably recoup some in theaters, but, you know, it's just the headlines lean towards the dramatic immediately. They want to be radicalized, like, oh my god, this movie sucks. Obviously, they cancel it, so it means it sucks. That's not true at all in this case, it seems like. So, the other thing is, the official statement is Warner Brothers and DC/Discovery are changing direction on how they're making their movies. And we'll talk more about that here in a little bit. And what this has done is really put an already, you know, confused, angry, destitute DC fan base in like an uproar, because like this Batgirl's first is Blue Beetle next, is the Black Canary movie, you know, next is the Green Lantern stuff next. Like what is safe at this point? And I've seen, and we'll talk about another bit, like everybody on like if you have a movie at HBO Max, everyone's like, is it safe? Like are you going to get canceled here in a little bit? So this is just absolutely wild about Batgirl, because they got Michael Keaton, original Batman, back for this, right? They've gotten J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon. They got that one girl from that In the Heights to be Batgirl. She's not been in any other movies beforehand, but like I don't think she's a problem. But like this is a big project with big names, and it's just mind blowing to think it can just be the rug pulled out from under you 3 months from release.
Yeah, it's just it's so wild. And also the way a lot of the times Hollywood works, the creatives involved in these projects, they often don't get word in advance of what's happening. So these people that have dedicated their lives to these specific creative projects are finding out like around the same time that just the general public is. So you can imagine just going on Twitter one day and be like, wait, what's happening to my movie? That is definitely a scenario that could have happened. So that sucks. And then also, like when it comes to Hollywood, you're only allowed to be so mad out in public, right? Because you don't want to sour any future projects. Because who knows, they could feel bad in a way that they're losing like these creative partnerships with these talented people. So hopefully the creative team behind Batgirl will have some redemption, or maybe they get to do a bigger, better project they've always wanted to do, or at least another chance out there.
The directors for Batgirl are the showrunners for Miss Marvel. I don't know if people didn't know that. That is the same two guys. Was it Adil and LRB, I believe are the last names. I don't know, but they show like even Kevin Feige reached out to them like, hey, look, guys, we are so sorry for everything that's happening to you, kind of thing. Like the community has embraced them, the directors. And honestly, this might be is this a reverse James Gunn scenario where Marvel it's like, you know what, you lost this, let's go give you a project in our neighborhood. Like, you did great with Miss Marvel, people are reacting. We may not need to Miss Marvel too, but what else do you want to do with us? Kind of along the way.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like this is a good segue into our next bullet point here about Warner Brothers in general. But what was the last bit of master planning that I think we kind of talked about for Warner Brothers / HBO Max? It was this weird kind of in-between cinematic television universe where there might be some Green Lantern stuff, some Gotham maybe related TV shows, Blue Beetle's out there with set photos already. So we don't know what that world looks like. One thing that is for sure now, I feel like we finally reached the point where if you've never really liked what DC's been doing recently with the, DCEU, if we still want to call it that, just for clarification, and the people who have loved what they've been doing, we've reached a nexus point where we're both confused and upset. So at least we can all revel in this unity of what the hell are you doing, Warner Brothers?
We've never... we are critical of Warner Brothers simply because there seems to be no plan. And, they at least had stuff coming out, right? And we were like, okay, you're putting content out. Maybe something will come together. It doesn't all have to be connected, right? The Joker has proved that. The Batman has proved that. Batgirl seems to be an amalgamation of things. But Warner Brothers is apparently, this is, again, from traces, with the Discovery merger, the director of this now, whoever he is, his name has been dragged through the mud a lot this week online, is they're looking to do a 10-year plan, aka the Marvel method, right, to their stories. This would, I guess, corroborate that Ben Affleck is back in as Batman in was it Aquaman, right? If they're gonna okay, look, we're gonna stick with our DCEU now and make a 10-year plan out of it. I think they could have easily released all this stuff and then just did a flashpoint, but all right, whatever, everything's new now. Start your 10-year plan there, but it seems like they're making some drastic decisions early on, and DC's the first. I guess this is the biggest project on the chopping block that we have heard. I mean, I won't say that this is an easy problem to solve, but also you kind of built yourself into this corner, right? They already have the Ezra Miller problem. Coming down the pipeline. They could have solved just a lot of these issues if just the quality of these films were better. If you just have to recast, one, actor moving forward, a lot easier to do if that's your only problem. But there's just so much happening here. There's one thing I will agree on with this new CEO, who I believe was the head of Discovery, and they are kind of now in charge of the whole kit and caboodle. Where I think the direct quote that I'm paraphrasing is we are interested in pursuing quality when it comes to the DC universe. And I was like, I couldn't agree with you more. At least he's admitting out there what they've been making is not good. And I will agree with that, which was so funny. What a stark difference to what we were talking about last week when the news that, Batfleck is returning to this universe. And I was kind of saying it sounds like they're just doing the most easiest thing possible, which is just make something that makes money. Don't worry so much about a plan. Let's just figure it out as we go along the way. What is the audience like? Yes, just give it to them and let's get some money. But it seems like they are making the right choice in creating some sort of plan, which, one could easily say it's the Marvel method. I would say it's just a good method no matter what. Well, I mean, why the hell, if you have these properties, you need a plan. I don't care whether these are connected or not. It's just you spend a lot of money on this stuff. I hope you got an idea of what you're going to do with it. Well, I possibly, I think I will disagree. Making a plan is not a solution. You have to have a good plan. And if they want to be Marvel, they've already tried this once, right? They're we're going to get Zack Snyder, we're going to make it a DC connected universe, and that fell flat. So I think the person running the ship does not need to be the CEO or the whoever's running Discovery. They need to get somebody in here who knows good films, right? Like, even connected or not, they're making the plan. It needs to be someone who makes good films. Discovery is not known for filmmaking, right? Like, they're known for Discovery Channel, HGTV, the Oprah Network. They have no filmmaking under their TV station.
My favorite thing to come out of all of this is when they had their earnings call on Thursday. Screenshots of their slide presentation were being floated around line, and there's a logo up on the screen, similar to how Feige just the other week was doing his own splashy logos at Comic-Con. There's a logo that says the 90-Day Fiancé Universe. Mm-hmm. All of these like spin-offs that they've done of the show 90-Day Fiancé, they now are considering it a universe, which I just thought was hilarious. That this show for them is such a juggernaut that they're like, oh, it's printing money. We're doing spin-offs all over the place. It's just so funny that we've come to this point where you can call something like that a universe.
I had to look up how much Discovery was worth, because I'm like, how did they merge with DC or Warner Brothers, right? I'm like, how the hell? I'm like, oh, it's all these channels everyone watches and fucking sinks their teeth into. So it's interesting. The other thing about this, Walter Hamada said he almost left Warner Brothers after being told of cancellation. A little dramatic for that. Like, why would you leave like the top position at Warner Brothers because they canceled one of the movies that hadn't been out? I don't know.
Well, I would imagine a lot of this could be strategical, of like leave before you get fired. I mean, that's what happens when these big companies merge. You don't need double the amount of people at the top anymore. You slash those people, and you slash a lot of numbers. So it might not always happen right away, right? I feel like with these bigger, higher ups, there's a little bit more time. There's a little bit more runway before decisions are made. But I would be curious to see what happens.
I would disagree, because if you get they have severance packages in these companies. If you quit, you don't get those severance packages. I think you'd be smart to say, but I want to know, if there's truth to this outside of any financial reason, right, or anything like that. Like, they're cutting you and you're upset. Why would you leave? Like, wouldn't you want to probably come back and maybe work? I don't know. That's me. Whatever. They've also removed. He said they're not doing a 45-day window on movies to HBO Max from WB, which I think is a slap in the face, considering everybody's doing that. Even Marvel, Disney, higher level, Paramount.
Yeah, it's strange. I mean, are you not making your streaming service your priority or not? It's very confusing. And it is strange because when you think about Discovery Plus, I think Discovery Plus, they've said, it's going to merge with HBO Max next year. I think summer 2023, and that makes a lot of sense, right? Discovery has a lot of this reality unscripted programming, merging it with a lot of the scripted content that's in the HBO Max library, which is very, very good and a very lengthy catalog. It makes a very, very enticing package. Right, and I get that, but when you look at numbers and success, HBO Max has been performing much better than Discovery. So it is kind of interesting to see. Well, now the people that were in charge of the strategy behind Discovery are now in charge of HBO Max. So what's gonna happen here? I mean, I suppose Discovery was growing, but it was not at the same echelon that HBO Max was.
HBO Max is one of my top favorite streaming services out there right now. Literally, hands down easy. Paramount Plus probably gets more playtime in our house right now as background noise because of the Nickelodeon content. But HBO Max, great, awesome by far. However, this news alone has made me consider: do I even want to continue a continual subscription to them, or will I only subscribe when I want to going forward? Because I'm obviously, I feel as an HBO Max person, they're probably going to rename it. I feel alienated. We just got this up for you. We've been promoting you. Why are you going to go through and destroy it or do whatever to get the Discovery name at the front of it, kind of thing?
Yeah, so. It does really make me wonder what they're going to do, right? I would think a good business person would probably put a lot of surveys and feelers out there in the world of maybe what's the best name for this. The cynical side is just we're going to call it Discovery Max, which I think is kind of dumb because I think HBO has the most prestige behind it, the words itself right there. Mm-hmm. Another thing, maybe they just call it Max, right? Because you could at least, preserve kind of that branding that you've been sticking around. Or maybe Discovery, they'll be like, okay, we don't have to be the lead dog. Let's just throw Discovery inside of HBO Max, kind of like how when you're inside of Disney Plus and you can see like a Nat Geo tab, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's a possibility. I'm not 100% sure, but we won't know that for a while. Those are just kind of little things. But what a wild flippin' news week for all of this.
Yeah, definitely concerning if you're a fan of this. It just feels like someone new got put in and they're just making sweeping decisions because they can. And I'm not down with that yet. But I think I'll give it 6 months and see kind of what's in the pipeline for everybody. This also, like I said earlier, gave people a lot of reason to be concerned for like other superhero projects, right? Like if Batgirl's not safe, nothing's safe. A lot of people reach out to James Gunn, like, hey, Peacemaker season 2, what's going on? Like, you have a contract to do like 5 shows over there. What's happening, Peacemaker? He's like, hey, it's safe. On his Twitter, he's like, it's fine. We're going to keep doing this. That's what he knows at this moment, right? Like you said, creatives don't always know the status of everything until it comes down. Another one that I thought was funny because there's actually Adult Swim Festival going on this weekend. I don't know if you knew that, Mike. Dave Willis, one of the creators of Aqua Teen, was reached out. He's like, look, Aqua Teen Forever Plantasm is the name of the movie. He's like, it's safe, and if it's not safe, I'm going to do a screening for free in my backyard, kind of thing. Also, I'm just going to drop this in here because it dropped today. They are doing a Blu-ray / digital release on November 8th and HBO Max in 2023. So, as an Aqua Teen fan, that's huge for me. And I was going to tell you, because you mentioned it, Paul Walter Hauser is a voice of a character in the movie as well.
Yes,
so
I love that guy. He's my new favorite.
Yeah.
He's not replacing people that I love on this show like Carl Urban. I'm just adding him to the shelf next to the likes of Carl Urban.
Exactly. So I was gonna tell you the top show. I'm like, I'll save it for when I had the Aqua Teen note. So
nice.
I figured you'd enjoy that. So yeah, Peacemaker, working on that. The other thing confirmed this week, and I think this is very much related to some of this, is Joker 2 Folie release date's confirmed October 4th, 2024.
Not surprising. I know the Batwoman, the Batgirl news. Sorry, Batgirl or Batwoman? I always forget. Yeah, I know the Batgirl news is very surprising, and best general judgment for a normal human out there would be, why would you can a movie that's so close to being finished to begin with, right? But for all other decisions, I feel like moving forward when it comes to HBO/HBO Max, it's just going to be common sense, right? Like Peacemaker, one of the biggest streaming shows, season 1, that's not getting canceled. That's dumb.
James
right?
Gunn is on top of the nerd world right now. Like, give him more stuff. Like, guaranteed.
Joker, like probably one of the only things DC has made in recent memory to get the critical acclaim. We're not going to talk about the Oscar for the Suicide Squad and costume design. That is a technical glitch in the Matrix. That's like a multiverse folding over onto itself that even happened, right? Yeah. So not taking anything away from the costume designers, but it's wild to imagine that movie was at the Oscars. Anyway, if there's something that's like really knocking it out of the park, I think during their earnings call, they had like a splash screen of the HBO Max show The Flight Attendant, which just wrapped its 2nd season. So it's safe to assume that that's also going to get a 3rd season. You wouldn't lead your presentation with that if you were planning on canceling it. So if there's something on HBO/HBO Max that's just like killing it, it's probably going to be safe. It's going to be more of kind of like these smaller shows. Like, unfortunately, there's a Max original called Minx that was all about a woman back in the 70s who created the first like woman's porn magazine. It's a really, really good show, but it is like slightly niche, so I would be saddened if it didn't get a 2nd season, but I would assume something like that might be on the chopping block, unfortunately. So not surprised to see that Joker has been confirmed.
Yes, confirmed for release date. Lady Gaga also shared the post confirming her involvement, leaning into possibly the rumors that it's a musical coming out even more. It doesn't really go against the first Joker, right? It was very musically inclined. There's the whole dancing scene, right? That people remember it. So I don't think it's as bad. It's just a lot of questions for a sequel that feel like the first movie kind of ended on a good note. To see where this kind of goes. So correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to remember. It's been a minute since I've seen Joker. He is
he ends that movie in jail, right, at the very end.
Yeah,
like he's in like
he's like. Well, I think he's driving the car, isn't he? Or he's riding the car to jail, and like the riots are going on around it.
Something. I swear the last scene he's in like a padded type of cell because I feel like I'm remembering like a dolly shot with a camera kind of going down a hallway, then it kind of goes.
Yeah, because
he's
getting interviewed. He's like,
Yeah,
how are you or whatever kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's like running through the hall because was it a Sinatra song? I think they're playing while he's running through the halls. So yeah.
He's got to bust out of jail somehow. Maybe Lady Gaga's going to bust him out.
Yeah, it's Jokin' Time should have been the name of this one, like Joker 2. But anyway, Joker, October 4th, 2024. The Flash, the TV series, I think this is now related to this news about DC. Even though this is a CW show, The Flash is ending its series with a shortened season 9 of only like 13 or 14 episodes. And it literally is ending 2 weeks before the Flash movie comes out, Mike. I feel the coincidence here is not to be ignored.
Yeah, I mean, this is wild. The Flash, I will, instead of just doing what I always do with CW superhero shows and just like talk down on them for losing quality, after the third or fourth season, I will say very successful run for The Flash, I guess pun intended, right? I mean, to make 9 seasons of a superhero show that is extremely effects heavy and just kind of, even though you end up kind of with the same set of powers, you can't really keep giving Barry new abilities every single episode.
Yeah.
And this was back in the day when seasons were 20 plus episodes long, right? So applause for them for going that long.
They had villains of the week for seasons. Remember King Shark got his introduction in The Flash?
It was wild. I have to say, it was bristling. The Arrowverse at the beginning, right? When The Flash came out, Arrow was running, we had these crossover events. It was fun. It was great. It was a time unlike any other before. But I think with The Flash ending, all of these other projects, superhero related, will probably be sunset. Expect like Superman to go next, right?
So Superman is not related to this anymore. The Arrowverse, Superman Lois is not connected. So this is technically the last Arrowverse show to exist on here.
Yeah, I suppose, but
because Stargirl's another one as well. I was thinking about it.
Very similar in audience though, so I would imagine there is a big pivot coming for the CW. They're gonna maybe even rename their network, which is not shocking. I feel like the CW has had like 1,000 different names in my lifetime, so expect a pivot there like no other. Especially, I don't even know who owns the CW. I guess it's Discovery now, right?
No, CW's not owned by WB. CW's an independent broadcast network. They were trying to sell a couple months ago. Remember, they were like, "Please buy us." Like,
oh yeah, that's right. So somebody's going to buy them. I don't know what's going on there, but
nothing yet to change. But the Flash. Again, I sent this to Mike. Literally started a week before. Or a week after the Flash movie was originally announced, and it's ending 9 seasons 2 weeks before that movie even hits theaters, if it hits theaters.
Oh my God.
The question I have, Mike, will the ending of The Flash tie into this movie at all? Do you think there's a chance, snowball's chance in hell, that this 2 weeks is being used to tie these together?
Oh shit! I mean,
right?
I don't know. If I was in charge of the CW Flash TV show, like it was the creative DNA was currently in me at the moment, I wouldn't want to end my TV show just laddering up to a movie. Like, I would want to end it on my own terms with my own characters. Like, yeah, maybe throw in like a little Easter egg at the very end to hint towards like more adventures for Flash-esque characters. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be like that kind of tie-in that we saw before where Ezra Miller shared the screen with Grant Gustin. But who flipping knows anymore, Chris?
You remember?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, when they shared a screen.
So,
saying that won't happen again.
Well, they ended the season with that note, right? Wasn't that like the end of a season or something, or maybe just an episode?
No, it was just during a crossover event when like Barry was going as fast as he possibly could yet again, and he basically ran past Ezra Miller in a way. So
yeah, I mean that's it's interesting. I don't think these two, the CW and this, will be related, right? They try not to connect them, but like I feel like someone somewhere up above is like, we need to do this. Synergy, right? Like, we need to, and I don't think this will happen. Grant Gustin would be the Flash who takes over the movie universe, right? Like, people want that. It won't happen, but like, people are clamoring for it. So
that would be amazing. I mean, he's earned it. Yeah. Grant Gustin has earned that promotion.
Yeah, exactly. He seems to be not a troublesome star to have around for that. All right, let's get off DC. Let's talk about something else. Like, I'm gonna be surprised. I'm just gonna tell you right. Andor's first official trailer dropped. And I don't know where the hell Cassian Andor exists in this universe. And I don't care whether way or not, because this actually impressed the hell out of me, Mike, on this trailer.
Yeah, this is this. You might as well retitle this saying starring Stellan Skarsgård.
Exactly.
It's like his trailer. It's like his show, which is funny because usually if like you have a character that you know is going to die and maybe you're trying to kind of pivot this show maybe towards another star to continue it on, you would think it would be like a younger, more popular, well-known star. But like, no, it seems like this is going to be like Stellan Skarsgård's show.
Well, everyone has different hair and facial hair at different points in this trailer. At one point, Stellan Skarsgård looks like literally like he's in the Senate, like a Senate person. And later on, he's like, grizzled with the shorter hair. None of this show was filmed in the volume, also, by the way. All practical sets, if they can build them, or green screen. I will say this: Andor as a character is not interesting. This show, what I'm seeing without Cassian Andor, looks very interesting.
Yeah,
a lot of different locales that opens with a Star Destroyer in low orbit over a mountain range. I mean.
Yeah, I do say we should probably be plating up the crow and eating it just a little bit, because I feel like we've been broken records saying like we're not excited for this show, and all of a sudden this trailer comes along. I mean, the biggest positive quality that I've given to Rogue One, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is like basically the same creatives that made Rogue One that are doing Andor, right? I think it's the same. I thought it was the same director, or at least producer. But the best thing about Rogue One, it was the only Star Wars property I'd ever watched where it truly felt like a war was happening, and it looks like we're getting more of that here. But also, my prequelitis that aches inside of my body started throbbing, though, when I watched the trailer, because I'm seeing all these desperate souls trying to rise up and, defeat the Empire, right? Yeah. And, like, not only do I know, what they end up achieving, which I guess more locally towards these characters is getting the Death Star plans, right? Yeah. They do end up defeating the Empire. Very, very fun, right? Happy story. No, not actually, because after the Empire's defeated, this weird other fraction of it rises up and creates a bigger Death Star that's inside of a planet, and then, it's just very... There's no definitive winning that ever happens in the Star Wars universe anymore. There's no happy endings, which I suppose is something that Rian Johnson was trying to tell explore in his movie, right? But it's just I feel like there is going to be a part of me where oh my gosh, these characters, they're so triumphant. They're putting their life on the line. It seems like there's going to be a lot of political intrigue of just these normal people, normal for the most part, putting their reputation and lives on the line just to sneak messages through and stuff. And it's just okay, great. All of this in 100 years means nothing. They're just going to keep blowing up more planets. Right. So that's just what it's like to live in this Star Wars universe now.
It is wars. It's in the title for it, so that's good. I also looked up Andor was Rogue One was written by Tony Gilroy, and 5 episodes of Andor of the 12 were written by Tony Gilroy. Gareth Edwards directed it. That's what I was thinking of. So he's not involved with the directing. Least.
All right. Well, the writing's going to be on point. It looks like we're getting the same tone of show.
It's again great because it's not focused on Cassian Andor. What I see here, literally, there's the planets look fantastic. We get to see some interior stuff of Coruscant, some other different looking planets that aren't sand planets. Mike, I know you hate sand planets right now.
Oh, I fucking hate them, Chris.
And, again, Mon Mothma, she's they're not going to know what I'm doing because, I'm being annoying in the Senate. They're not going to know what I'm doing somewhere else at the same time. I really liked it. It was, like you said, cue up the microwave, throw the crow in it because we might be chewing on that later. Big news here, it's been delayed a month to September 21st, but they're dropping 3 episodes for us on September 21st rather than 1.
Yeah, got to dig that hook in and possibly catch back up to their normal release schedule. Maybe that's actually more of what's happening here. But, keep that crow. Save me some leftovers because I got to eat it here again in this next segment. Because if anybody had editing skills out there, they could probably just put a nice little piece together, a supercut, if you will, of me saying Charlie Cox will never appear again as Daredevil.
Yeah.
He is done with the role, and everyone is done with Netflix. Wrong. Because not only this is just the one bit of news that
we'll start with this one then. Yeah.
Yes.
So we have our first official Disney Plus image of Charlie Cox returning as Daredevil in the yellow suit. We get to see his face this time. It's not just the camera moving up to unveil him. This is him, red suit, yellow helmet, classic colors, Mike. He doesn't know what colors they are. He's blind, but we can see them right here. They are yellow from that official clip right here. This is awesome.
It's sick, right? I mean, the Daredevil suit in the Netflix show looked really, really good, right? But I feel like this is the suit plussed up, right? With a little bit more extra budget. Like, let's put in these grooves on the helmet. Let's put these couple little buckles and extra straps and bics and a little bit of like mixed media throughout the suit. What we're seeing, this looks very, very premium. Looks like something hopefully we'll be seeing on the big screen too one day, right?
Yeah.
It's great seeing Charlie Cox return because I do need to say I loved him as Daredevil. I just thought the way the landscape looked, he probably wouldn't be returning. So I have to say I'm happy to see him back. Glad to see Charlie under the hood again. And maybe he's got to be on that battle planet someday, right? Secret Wars. Right? I always get it confused with Secret Invasion in my head. Secret Wars. I want to see him on the battle planet fighting some fools.
And before that, he's got 18 goddamn episodes of his own, Mike. On top of this, and he'll be in Echo, so like you're about to get your Charlie Cox Daredevil.
Know what would be clever? I just kind of thought about this because I was in a long car drive earlier this weekend, just pondering the state of the MCU, as I always do. And I was thinking, okay, Charlie Cox, what kind of story are they going to tell with Daredevil, right? If this is a totally different incarnation of the character, we got to spin up a brand new story. And how is that going to feel, right? It's not hard to reboot a character with a new story, but not often does that character still exist technically within a very similar reality of a previous character that we've watched already. So I'm kind of curious and speculating maybe there'll be some sort of maybe multi-dimensional confusion or amnesia or something. Maybe these 18 episodes he'll be keying into some flashbacks that he never experienced that maybe happened in the Netflix show as well.
I think
it's just conjecture. I don't think it's necessarily going to happen. But how do you make 18 episodes? Right? There's got to be some sort of through line going there.
18 episodes again called Born Again. So what does this mean for him? They like to take titles from comic series. They don't have to follow the actual comic book.
And where's his buddy, Folie? One of the standout characters. Is he going to return in any way?
They'll answer your questions, and I'm sure they'll answer them very soon, for sure. But again, as we know, these are variants. I don't think they'll. Sorry to disagree with your multiversal fog, whatever. He wasn't transported over, but they're variants. It's fine. But how much?
Chris, if you were a little bit more enlightened, maybe looked up to the skies, when Mercury is in retrograde, don't you just ever feel like you can feel your other life vibrating inside of you, your past lives, something on another dimension? Well, actually, this is actually real. That could, in fact, happen. That if Matt Murdock in this show dreams, he could factually dream the Netflix show. That is canon. That is absolutely 100% canon. He could fall asleep and dream a Netflix episode that we've already watched, and that would not need to be explained in any other greater detail. Well, maybe that's what this actually is. It's only really 9 episodes, but they're just going to replay some Netflix episodes as dreams. They're just going to cut him falling asleep and waking up.
All right, I want to reel you back in. None of that's going to happen. But again, I don't know how much of a retelling of his origin and Wilson Fisk's origin do we need? Do we just pick up they already have beef with each other? What does that look like? Are we going to get a lead in through Echo? Right, that's what it's going to come out to. However, this is not Daredevil. This is She-Hulk. She-Hulk, bad news, Mike. It was delayed by a whole day. So all 9 episodes of She-Hulk will be going to Thursdays starting next August 18th.
Interesting.
Which will also overlap with Andor, which is dropping on Wednesdays. So it seems like they're playing with the schedule a little bit more as they kind of put shows out, right? Like
they could be a little worried that maybe they thought they would kind of do the old school television model with Miss Marvel, right? Of like, let's put these things on the same night so we can kind of have that cross audience pollination. Well, that only works right when you have no control over when things start on a time slot, right? But we have total control over it. So maybe they're like, well, we don't want to cannibalize the audience for She-Hulk at all in any given way, so let's just move it to a different night.
I wouldn't even say it's audience. I mean, I always watch both. I think it also might be news cycles, right? Like trying to compete your news with your other news on the same day pushes them down. So which one gets the actual headline of that day when you get online? So this isn't a problem. It's just another day, and then once September 21st rolls around, you can have Andor one day, She-Hulk the next. We'll be fine. This will be totally fine. So check that. However, this Wednesday, I Am Groot will be dropping on Disney Plus. All 5 episodes on Wednesday. It's like 20 minutes. You're not going to lose any time watching these, Mike. You could wake up and even watch them before you go to work if you really want to. So you can talk about them at the water cooler. I'm going to jump into some fan art here. We don't normally bring in fan art. However, this fan art for Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania supposedly shows the movie design for MODOK that was based on the San Diego Comic-Con presentation. It kind of, it looks interesting. I don't know what to make of this.
It's great.
It's fine.
That's the thing that you have to balance, right? Like MODOK is a very visually striking character. Like if I was going to see MODOK in Guardians of the Galaxy, be a little less of a stretch, right? But it's a very large cranium with a tiny body, very jarring look. So, we see the character here in kind of more of a cybernetic form. It looks like there's meat underneath there, right? Yeah. So I could see the helmet coming off at some point in time, and Paul Rudd will make some sort of quip of how weird this character looks. But seeing MODOK hit the big screen, that's exciting. That's exciting.
So there's 2 thought processes here. One that is actually Yellow Jacket from the first Ant-Man movie when he shrunk down to the microverse or whatever. Because you see his head go last, like this is what he looks like when he shrinks down there, and this is how he was able to stay alive. Or I've also heard the rumor that Jim Carrey is playing this version of MODOK. So is it a voice only kind of thing?
Maybe. Well, even if it was, the character would be entirely CGI anyway, so you could kind of just maybe mocap Jim Carrey to bring in the facial performance, and it would look different.
So he's got the big red eyes, big jewel in the top of his head. He looks like he has literally, it looks like the Ant-Man logo on his chest, right? Like the PIM Tech logo on his chest there.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. He kind of just looks like if Ultron started like a robot gang, like this would just be like one of Ultron's diverse friends. Yeah. So, we shall see. It looks, I believe it's a helmet because we can kind of see the humanoid appendages coming out. So I better see some face under there at some point in time.
100%. I'm excited to see what this was like in action. It was a little bit in the leaked trailer we watched, but not enough to pull from this at all. So very, very excited to see that. Next up for concept art that was never brought to fruition is for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. We have a scene of 616 Baron Mordo literally being decapitated by what's her name? Scarlet Witch. So very interesting look here, Mike. Again, there's a note here. This was a deleted scene, so deleted scenes don't count, so don't get your hopes up. They can still use them whenever they want to, but very interesting look here.
Would have been a great scene to include, right? Because we were wondering what happened to the Baron Mordo that said no more sorcerers. It seemed like he was very determined, right? So seeing his head pop out of a dark dimension, if you will, severed, decapitated, was it too grim for a PG-13 audience? I don't think so, compared to what happened to the Illuminati, right?
Yeah.
Maybe this was canned for runtime. Maybe it was canned for maybe we want the version of this character to come back, actually. Maybe they saw it as maybe even slightly disrespectful in a way of like, well, we built the character up in a very earnest way in the first movie, and to just kind of kill it off screen for just kind of shock effect, even though Taika did that 100% at the beginning of Thor Ragnarok with the Warriors 3. But it's fun seeing storyboards. I don't often see storyboards for Marvel stuff, so it's just kind of cool to see it, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. Very much something that could have happened. Didn't use it, but that just means hopefully maybe they'll bring back Mordo, either one of his versions in the next movie, right? 616 or the was it 838 version that wasn't killed by Wanda somehow because he was in a pit. All right, moving along. The Eternals 2 was seemingly confirmed by Patton Oswalt on a morning show this week. He's like, "Yep, Eternals 2 coming back. Chloe Zhao to direct it." This is not anywhere announced so far, Mike, so, I would say take it with a grain of salt. He could be confused about something, or it's possibly one of those upcoming announcements we'll see at D23.
Yeah. It is an interesting move from Marvel, right? It's showing that they still believe from the commitment of the director, and who knows, maybe the screenwriter will end up changing. Maybe they'll try to pivot a little bit in some way. Because overall, we both agreed the reception of the film, the negativity was extremely overblown, but we also didn't think the movie was particularly high tier when it comes to Marvel.
It's a different genre of film in Marvel, right? Like this is an artsy film in the MCU, but there are ways that they can still use these characters and the director and stuff down the road. They just, by going back in the past, it did nothing for us, right? It's the future we care about. So
I would say the most predictable outcome from a sequel of Eternals 2 is they will hold absolutely nothing back for the very first trailer of Eternals 2, right? They're going to throw everything that they can at this movie and the marketing and the trailer to let you know this will be different than the last one that you saw. Trust us. I mean, I felt like the same way a little bit when it comes to the sequels to Ant-Man, especially Ant-Man 3. I mean, oh my God, they are plussing up that third movie like crazy to make it seem like a totally different, yeah. Like, exactly. So that's my expectation. Yeah. That first Eternals 2 trailer, they're going to show us, I would even wager to say, a sliver of a corner of Galactus in a way, just to let everybody freak the hell out. Well, so I'm guessing they will go that big to get people to go to the theaters.
I think they'll cast Harry Styles as a full-time actor in this one, right, rather than a cameo, right? That's going to bring in people. And two, very little of it will be set on Earth. There's one group of Eternals in a spaceship, and one group, I guess, of Eternals. Cersei was stolen by, what's her name? The big thing. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they have to fight clones, or not clones, but the other copies of themselves in that, big machine thing. So,
and we should have Blade and the Black Knight kind of out in the world by then as well. So, like you said, there will be more development from these characters and stories before we even get the sequel. Yeah. So, I would still watch Eternals 2 without much griping.
Yeah, and I think it's she made the movie she wanted to make. It just wasn't what I think people were expecting to have. And, Mike, we always talk about this. If you make something, it needs to have consequences later. We've just not seen these consequences yet. And when we looked at that timeline from what was it in Disney Plus Japan, I believe, Eternals is like the last movie in that whole list still. Like, we haven't got to the Eternals timeline yet. So very excited to see that. This is hot off the press, Mike. This is like the hottest news you could get right now. Because Rosario Dawson is at C2E2 right now in a panel. And she apparently confirms that John Bernthal, the Punisher, will return to the MCU. And she just found out about it like a couple days ago. So
congratulations.
Between her and Patton Oswalt, what the hell's going on over there? Like, are they doing this on purpose? Is it, like, hey, this is how we test the waters? What's going on over there?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is great. John Bernthal is an amazing Punisher. I never really got around to watching. Well, actually, did I watch the second season? I don't know if that's a good or not. That's probably more of a state of Netflix than a state of the quality of the show in general.
You and I both agreed these shows are ending. They canceled them before they even came out. Why would we watch them? Right? Like,
yes, exactly.
So it wasn't a statement to the actor or the show. It was just like, we already know you're canceling. Why would we give you the watch?
Yeah. So he makes a great Punisher. I can only assume, right, if this is kind of if we take this as truth, this is our, second confirmation of a Netflix character coming back. Let's just go ahead and make the most logical conclusion that we're getting them all back. Mm-hmm. I would like to see maybe some redemption for Danny Rand, right? See, what was his name? Finn. Who's the actor that played him?
I disagree. Don't recast him because he doesn't know martial arts, and I would much rather have an Iron Fist with martial arts against Shang-Chi.
Maybe wouldn't that be hilarious? So they get the whole gang back together, and he's not invited back. I mean, wow! If you were ever in doubt whether or not your performance was lacking, that would be confirmation there.
I'm going to be bold here. I don't think Mike Coulter needs to return either. I think we need another Luke Cage in the MCU.
No, I love Mike Coulter. He can amazing.
Be like the only one quarter of his entire show was good, and that was the first quarter with Cottonmouth, right? Marshall Ali, who is now Blade in the MCU. I think you can get another actor in for Luke Cage. But
if my dream theory holds true, that means Mike Coulter could come back as Luke Cage. He could meet Blade and be like, I think I've had a dream about you, but you weren't a vampire hunter. This is going to happen, Chris. They dream in Netflix. It's wild.
Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like where this is going at all. But so Rosario Dawson confirmed this. We won't have any things. I'm just going to go ahead. This is a great segue into our next point. I think all of this news that we're not getting right now or leaking a little bit will be confirmed at D23 in September, right? It's 1 month away, I believe. September 10th, is that right? Sound right?
Yeah, I think 30 days is very close.
Yep. So Marvel Studios, this is a report, was to bring an epic D23 presentation. So are we going to get that 2025 calendar of shows, movies revealed to us? Will there be actor reveals like this? Is it Eternals 2 being slapped in there before Battleworld, or Secret Wars? That'd be fantastic. The Celestials are involved with this King Dynasty kind of thing. Be crazy. With the Punisher, and maybe it is every Netflix actor coming back for Daredevil Born Again being confirmed along the way.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I expect the rest of that Phase 6 timeline to be filled in for sure. That's got to happen at the convention. I wouldn't be shocked if we get cast confirmation for one, if not all, of the Fantastic Four, just to get the cast out. Because the rumors are already swirling. I feel like they want to get ahead of it no matter what. Put that out there into the world.
The rumor I saw with Jason Segel being the Thing and then revealing him before the last couple episodes of She-Hulk, because he's supposed to be in She-Hulk, wouldn't that be wild? That's what they're waiting for. Mm-hmm. So sorry, interrupt.
That would be great. And obviously, I want wild card announcements, right?
Yeah.
Don't just fill in, and show me the actors, show me something I didn't even know I wanted. Right. That would be great as well.
We've got a lot of sequels and follow-ups coming up, right? Like not a lot of original movies on the horizon. Mm-hmm. So give us, what's our next original project? Yeah. What is that going to be?
I mean, I know last week we talked a lot about the legalese when it comes to announcing anything X-Men related, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe the very least that they can do is just confirm again that it's coming and give us a temp logo, and that's it. And it'll be one of those things like when they announced the Fantastic Four, we got literally nothing else. We still, with Fantastic Four, only have, really that little logo. Maybe they'll do that to us with the X-Men. But, if the dates hold true to what we talked about last week, we actually might have to wait for anything official out of X-Men.
When did Fantastic Four? 2015. Oh my gosh, the 7-year timeline for Fantastic Four is up this year, Mike. Literally, it was in 2015, so maybe this is why they're not announcing it yet. Is because they're waiting for the 7 years. Okay, now that that's up, we can say it now.
This is it, Chris. We need to launch a Patreon just so we can hire an entertainment lawyer. I swear, I just want somebody's time to be like, go look out and hunt down these contracts. Just read them over. Let us know what you know. We want our listeners in on the ground floor because that's what it all comes down to. With these big franchises, it's always a legal line somewhere on a document. So, fantastic for... Yes. Do you have any dark horse guesses for D23? Just something wild, maybe?
I mean, I can't imagine. Like, I'm surprised we're getting so much as it is right now, right? Like, we are getting, like... I can't believe Namor is coming at the end of this year already. Like we're getting Namor and Black Panther in the same movie kind of thing. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, what do we have on my plate? Like, what books do I have that would just be mind-blowing?
I feel like... there's going to be a Disney Plus announcement that will shock us. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, what kind of series it could be, but it'll be one of those situations like, oh, wow, that's crazy. That's going to be a Disney Plus show. Yeah. Maybe Young Avengers, even though we kind of are sussing something like that out a little bit. I would like Secret Warriors to tie along with Secret Wars, even though they're not related in the comic books. What if we went... So Marvel has this line of comics called Squadron Supreme, which is their take on essentially DC characters, right? Like, that's their version of the Squadron Supreme. And they're kind of actually, like, more brutal, like the Boys kind of thing. Like, what if they did, like, hey, because, like, the Squadron Supreme showed up in the Incursion storyline that led to Secret Wars. So what if they do a short mini-series on Squadron Supreme? Like... that's the announcement we get. Like, we're going to shoot another universe before it's completely collapsed on itself. Well, we put it out there in the world. We have roughly 4 more weeks to keep making these guesses. So we'll try to throw one out every week, and hopefully we'll nail something by D23. Yeah, I mean, I just need to sit and think about it, right? Like, I'm still Comic-Con brained, so I'm gonna have to come back and take a look at it. But yeah. Well, anyway, we're gonna cut this one off here. I am so tired. I've got to edit this and then get going to bed to make up for all the steps we did this weekend and all the good times. Mike, if people know what you're up to, what you're doing, where can they find you, buddy? Oh, follow me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. Chris, people want to catch up with your tired ass. Where can they find you? Oh my gosh, I'm dragging it at Valdan on Twitter, VALDAN, or Instagram, Valdan87. I'll probably post my photos during this week sometime as I'm kind of going through my camera library. People know more about the show, what we're doing, what we're up to, when we're not going to be able to review Batgirl, where they can't find that, where can they do all that stuff. Yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet for everybody out there. Just visit superheroslate.com. That is the headquarters for everything Superhero Slate. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you listen to find podcasts. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And you can get merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. Please reach out. Let us know your thoughts and feelings of the show. We love our super fans. So if you want to be a super fan of the show, all you got to do is share the show with a friend. Share the show with a buddy. We'll be here every week, folks. That's right. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.